You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, I'm Franco Luna, Puma Podcast. You're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode,
But we were shocked to the core when we read in the news that discovery of human body parts inside the septic tank of Bilibid. I repeat, human body parts. Someone was able to chop up a person inside the facility tasked to keep him. Pagkatapos pa nangyari yun, mukhang mahirapan pa tayong maghanap ng katotohanan kung sino yung gumawa noon at bakit ginawa.
we talk about the grisly true crime scenario in the National Penitentiary. Or so the authorities thought. You just heard Senator Bato de la Rosa at a Senate hearing. He's the chair of the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. He also served as Director General of the Bucor from April to October in 2018. He was talking about a recent finding from the new Bilibid Prison. A quote-unquote mass grave of mutilated body parts found inside a septic tank in the National Penitentiary. Sounds awful, right? Now, just a trigger warning for listeners, there are parts in this episode where we'll talk about violence in prisons, and some of those may sound graphic. Once the news broke, correction officials and senators alike were in uproar, which prompted the hearing by the Senate panel. Sino nga ba namang hindi mabibigla sa ganito? Here's what authorities found according to NBI Medical Legal Officer Dr. Annalyn Dadiz.
So nakakita po ng isang human bone, nakakita ng male underwear, 3 lighter at 2 pangahit. Ano po ang naging konklusyon nyo sa inyong investigasyon?
Yes, Your Honor, we have the following items that you mentioned. We have 1 piece of bone, and this is not of human origin. Number 2, we have 1 brief underwear.
So what happened was the Bureau of Corrections was searching for a missing detainee, Michael Angelo Cataroha, who was discovered missing on July 15. The agency eventually sought the assistance of the Coast Guard, which conducted an independent inspection from July 21 to 25. Coast Guard officers tapped dogs of their K9 unit to sniff Cataroha's clothes. The dogs led the team to the septic tank, and there they found a bone and a piece of underwear. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla then told the media that it was Cataroha's decapitated body that they found near a criminal gangs area in the facility. He also said that 2 more mass graves might be found in the NBP. But according to Dr. Dadiz, what actually happened was...
In all likelihood, through the process of comparison, it is consistent with chicken leg bone.
Huh? Chicken leg. But from the appearance in the picture, it is bigger than a chicken leg. So you are sure that it is not of human origin at ngayon ay buto na manok.
Sir, I think the photo is the one that is shown in media, and perhaps I think it is just zoomed out. But if you try to compare it with the actual size of a chicken leg bone, it is consistent to a chicken leg bone.
We're pausing for a quick break. When we return, let's walk through the deeper issues the tale of the chicken bone exposes in our correctional system. It's kind of absurd to think that someone would mistake chicken bones for human remains. But this isn't just a funny story about the uproar caused by what turned out to be fake news. Let's talk about why all these matter. Unang-una, perhaps the bigger story here is that even our Justice Secretary is vulnerable to false information. When lawmakers asked him about it, he blamed the department and then a K9 unit.
Linawin ko lang kung yung nangyari na fake news po ako, na nahanap ang katawan, na putol ang ulo. Yun po yung unang sinabi sa akin, na dumating po sa akin feed nung isang madaling araw, kasi I wake up early in the morning to look at the feeds about the department. Ang napag-alaman ko na lang is that may K9 na ginamit, pinaamoy ang damit ni Kataroha, yung aso mabilis tumakbo sa septic tank para naroon yung pinaamoy nila na damit, yung tao nagsusuot.
Grabe, parang sitcom. Maybe calling it a mass grave before the news media wasn't the best idea, no? I guess it's a good lesson to learn. Always double-check your facts before you make a public announcement. It was unclear where the Mulya got the information, but Bureau of Corrections officials denied it was them who provided the Mulya with the info. Which also begs the question, saan nanggaling ang balita? Here's Angelina Bautista, New Bilibid Prison Deputy Director in House hearing.
Sir, yung pong nag-inform, not us, not from the Bucor. Like General Katapang said, hindi po kami nag-inform. Yung pong report lang po yung sinabit namin. Meron po kaming spot report tsaka initial report na sinabmit.
It's worth pointing out that while all this went down, several instances of gang violence inside the NBP were recorded. First, an altercation between two inmates belonging to rival gangs, the Bahala na Gang and the Batang City Jail. The two inmates were quickly subdued, but the situation escalated when another inmate, Joseph Serrano, opened fire, wounding 9 other inmates. The violence didn't end there. Later that day, another inmate, Alvin Barba, was found stabbed to death with an ice pick. Authorities are still investigating whether the shooting and the stabbing were related. Gang violence has long been a problem in Philippine prisons. In recent years, there have been a number of high-profile incidents, including the killing of a prison guard in 2021. Bucor has vowed to crack down on gang violence, but the problem remains a serious one. Here's Bato de la Rosa again.
Their primary role of correcting the ways of the life of prisoners appears to be elusive. The recent killing and mutilation of an inmate is a clear indication that even incarceration, violence reigns supreme among the prisoners. It seems that the key are the ones running the show. It seems that they are the ones running the show. There is nothing more simple than to allow criminal activities transpire within the confines of the correctional facility.
As you know, the New Bilibid Prison is notorious for overcrowding and has a long history of violence and corruption. The false discovery of the bones supposedly of Kataroha, which were just actually chicken bones, has led to renewed calls for reform at the facility. In 2022, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology also posted a 387% congestion rate. To their credit, that was already down from 450% congestion in 2019. Still, that number means 6 prisoners occupy the space of 4 square meters, which is supposedly meant for only 1 detainee. Just to put those numbers into perspective, a mega prison in the United States, for instance, has a population of more than 1,000. Here in the Philippines, it's home to 28,000 persons deprived of liberty or PDLs. So who is Michael Angelo Kataroha, the detainee whose presumed death exposed the weaknesses of the New Bilibid Prison? Si Kataroha ay 25 years old. Bago itong kanyang pagtakas noong July 7, nakakulong na siya sa NBP ng mga 2 taon dahil sa violation ng anti-fencing law. Pakinggan natin siya mismo sa kanyang kwento sa pagtatanong ng mga senador tungkol sa kanyang pagtakas.
Michael Kataroha, lumapit-lapit ka sa mikropono. Kailan ka tumakas?
July 7 po.
Anong oras?
Alas 9 mo ng umaga.
Anong oras kumukuha ng pumapasok ang truck ng basura?
Alas 9 po.
Anong oras lumabas yung truck ng basura? Sabi mo, pumasok yung truck ng basura ng alas 9.
Opo.
Nakatakas ka rin ng alas 9?
Hindi ko lang po alam kasi wala po orasan nun eh.
Paano mo ginawa ito? Pumasok ka sa truck ng basura? Pumasok ka sa basurahan?
Kumain po ako kay Lalo ng truck.
Sa ilalim ng truck, pumasok ka?
Opo.
Pinag-aralan mo na nakasya ka dun sa ilalim ng truck. Wala nakakita sa'yo?
Wala po.
Wala. Kahit alam mo meron CCTV roon, wala.
Wala po.
Ganun kalayo mula dun sa sinakyan mo hanggang makalabas ka ng gate.
Hindi ko alam sir eh.
Paano mo nalaman nasa labas ka na?
Marami na po sasakyan eh.
July 7 siya tumakas. Nagtago siya sa ilalim ng truck na nangongolekta ng basura sa Bilibid. It was only a week later that authorities realized na wala na siya sa Bilibid. Bakit daw siya tumakas?
Meron ba nag-utos sa'yo para tumakas ka?
Wala po.
Kusang loob ka lang tumakas?
Opo.
Bakit ka naman tumakas?
Kung walang volume po, wala akong lalaw.
So what happens now? Maghihigpit ba ang Bucor sa mga dalaw? Bucor Director General Gregorio Katapang Jr. said the PDLs will still be granted visitation privileges even after what Kataroha did. Humingi ng tawad si Kataroha kay Katapang at sa buong Bucor. Nagalit daw sa kanya ang mga kasama sa Bilibid.
So yung mga nababalitaan mo habang kumakain, nagkukwento-kwentuhan kayo, sa Bisaya, nagsusultihan, nakabalik sila?
Yung unang sir balita ko pakain daw po
Kaya hindi na nakabalik. Bakit ginawa mo pa lumabas din kung alam mo pinapatay yung iba?
Pakalamat nga po binuhay po nila ako
Nagpapasalamat ka, binuhay ka nila, binuhay ka ng kahit alam mo na malaking kahihiyan ang binigay mo sa Bucor.
Kaya po Kaya umi po ako na kasi sa harap ng review ko
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Freddy Blanco. Our Teka Teka News executive producer is Jill Caro, and our senior editor is Veronica Uy. If you found this episode interesting, please do share it with a friend or two if you've got the time. Whether by sharing online or by simply telling your friends about us, any kind of support helps us keep telling stories about the news you need to know. And if you want more content like this, please don't forget to follow Teka Teka News and Puma Podcast on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And if you're already watching this on YouTube and you appreciated the episode, please do take the time to like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for listening.